Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. This is where we break down the day's biggest news, specifically for your civil services preparation. Today, we're jumping into the key stories from April 11th, and I'm going to show you exactly how they connect to your syllabus.
You know, you pick up the newspaper on any given day, and you might wonder, how can one day's headlines cover governance, the economy, security, and international relations? Well, they do. And our job today is to show you how to spot that crucial exam-relevant material tucked away in those headlines.
All right, let's get right to it. Here's our game plan for today. Think of it as our syllabus matrix. We're going to kick things off with governance in GS2, then jump over to economy and energy in GS3, and follow that with a really important security deep dive, also in GS3. And then we'll wrap it all up with a framework to help you structure your mains answers.
First up, GS Paper 2. We're diving into a massive governance initiative that is set to digitize the very heart of India's demographic data. Yep, we're talking about the census.
So, the big keyword here is self-enumeration, or SE. For the 2027 census, this is a huge technological leap from the old-school door-to-door method. What's the core idea? It lets households like you and me fill in our details online before the census official even shows up. Now, this isn't just about making things convenient. It's really about empowering citizens and unlocking better, more accurate data for policymaking. Think about tracking complex patterns like internal migration. This could be a game changer.
So how's it actually going to work? Well, it's a pretty straightforward four-step digital process. First, you register on the official portal. Then, you fill out the form online. After that, you submit the data, which is all encrypted, by the way. And finally, you get a unique 11-digit ID. You just show that ID to the enumerator when they visit for verification. Simple, efficient, and user-friendly.
Okay, so you can really think of this whole digital census as standing on four main pillars. And these are fantastic points for your answers, by the way. First, we've got linguistic inclusivity. The portal is going to be in 16 languages. Second, and this is absolutely critical, is data privacy, which they're addressing with encryption and secure servers. The third pillar is administrative efficiency. The goal is faster, more accurate data. And finally, it all ties back to the bigger picture, the digital India vision.
So this all sets us up perfectly for a classic man-style question. Get your thinking caps on for this one. Discuss the potential benefits and challenges of transitioning to a digital-first census in India in the context of the digital India vision. You'll want to think about things like digital literacy, the rural-urban divide, and of course, data security.
All right, let's pivot to our next big topic, which connects right back to our national development goals. We're in GS Paper 3 now, looking at the economy and energy. And the news is huge. We're talking about India's incredible solar surge.
So, the magic number here? 150 gigawatts. Let that sink in. That is the landmark figure for installed solar capacity that India has officially crossed. It's a massive milestone, not just for clean energy, but for our country's long-term energy security. But what does that number actually mean on the world stage? Well, it means India has now cemented its place as the world's third largest solar power generator. This is a big deal. It shows India isn't just a player in the global renewable energy transition. We're a leader.
So how did we get here? It's not just one thing, right? It's a powerful mix of policy and commitment. This achievement is a direct result of our climate goals, like the punch-and-run target of 500 gigawatt from non-fossil fuels by 2030. It's also been fueled by really smart policies, like the PLI scheme for making solar modules right here in India, and a big push for decentralized power in villages through schemes like PMKUSM. And you have to give credit to bodies like the NSCFI for constantly pushing the agenda forward.
Okay, let's put our mains hat on for a second. Here's a question for you to really chew on. India's solar energy achievements are significant, but challenges remain. Critically analyze the policy framework driving India's renewable energy transition. This is a classic critically analyzed question, so they're looking for a balanced answer. Talk about the wins, but also discuss what hurdles are still ahead.
All right, for our last deep dive, we're sticking with GS3, but we're shifting gears to security. We're going to explore the really complex and evolving world of maritime threats right here in the Indian Ocean.
An editorial I was reading today really captured the situation with this powerful phrase, securing vital sea lanes in a new ring of fire. Now, they're not talking about volcanoes. They're talking about a geopolitical ring of fire, one defined by growing instability, new technologies, and dangerous non-state actors.
And this is where you see the game has completely changed. We've moved way beyond just traditional threats like piracy or conflicts between nations.
The new reality, the crucial point for your answers, is the rise of asymmetric threats. We're talking about things that were unthinkable a decade ago, like drone strikes on commercial ships, Houthi-style attacks disrupting trade, and even cyber attacks aimed at crippling our ports.
So where does India fit into this complicated new picture? Well, the expectation both regionally and globally is for India to step up as the net security provider for the region. What does that mean in practice? It means our Navy has to proactively protect those vital sea lines of communication, the SLOCs, which are basically the highways for global trade. It means pushing back against instability in the entire Indian Ocean region and being smart enough to handle these new, tricky geopolitical challenges.
And this all boils down to a really meaty practice question that connects security with international relations. Examine the evolving nature of maritime security threats in the Indian Ocean region and critically evaluate India's role as a net security provider.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. Let's pull it all together now into a really clear framework that shows you exactly how today's news plugs directly into your UPSC syllabus.
Here it is, laid out nice and simple. The digital census, that's a core topic for GS Paper 2 on governance and e-governance. That 150 gigawatt solar milestone, classic GS3 economy and infrastructure. And the maritime security issue is so interesting because it cuts across both GS3 on internal security and GS2 on international relations. This is exactly the kind of mental mapping you should be doing every single day.
So let's end with one big, final takeaway question for you to think about. Today, we've seen how technology is changing governance, how climate is reshaping our economy, and how geopolitics are redefining security. The real question is this. As all these massive forces, geopolitics, technology, and climate continue to shift, how must the Indian state itself evolve to meet those challenges? Definitely something to reflect on. That's it for this explainer. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep digging deeper.